So welcome everyone, welcome back from lunch. Hopefully everyone is awake and alert. Welcome to the Cultural Carriers. We are the or maybe the self-moderated panel. And I am really excited to be here with these three other wonderful ladies who I'm sure we're going to be lifelong friends after this panel. The intention of this panel, I think we've been talking a lot about industry change, shifts, organizational change, and I think this one is really about how do you harness the power of an individual to impact culture, affect change in an organization. I think and our hope is through our varied experiences and different lenses on culture and our personal stories, that everyone in this room will leave feeling inspired and empowered to bring their unique story and superpowers to your organizations. So let me begin by just giving you a brief overview of who is up here. To my left is Claude Silver. She is, and I love this title, she's the Chief Heart Officer of VaynerMedia. And, you know, in meeting her today, I realized we have a lot of parallels in life. So she used to be a former strategist and a leader at many different organizations. And then, but always, I think, fueled by a passion for people and the heartbeat of organizations, hence her title. She left Vayner to pursue that full-time, shifting from her strategy career, something I've long dreamed of, but she did. And Vayner invited her back and said, hey, please do this here. So I think she has a really interesting perspective to offer today. Welcome. And then to my right, I have Kate Jeffers, who is, again, another fan club. She is partner, managing director, and owner at Venables and Partners. She has toured a lot of West Coast agencies, done her time in Paris, launching Toyota in Europe before she landed 12 years ago at Venables, and has really seen that agency through the course of its 15-year trajectory, which has been exciting and big. And so now as a leader, I think it'll be interesting to hear Kate's perspective on what she brings to the culture. And then we have Felicia Geiger. Felicia has spent over 20 years influencing our industry in terms of inclusivity, talent diversity, and she has been honored in multiple ways, tons of awards, and she's currently serving on multiple boards. She is the co-founder and director of Madison's Collective, whose mission is to support underrepresented professionals in our industry, in advertising and media. She also sits on the AAF Mosaic Council Executive Committee, and she's on the board of Add Color and Live Out Loud. And last but not least, she is co-chair of the 4A's Diversity Steering Committee. Wow. It's a big deal. And lastly, I'm Bonnie Wan, and I am partner and head of brand strategy at Goodby Silverstein Partners in San Francisco. I think, like Claude, my passion has always been rooted in purpose, helping brands uncover their purpose, but really inside-out branding, building brands from the inside out. And during the course of my career, I have helped apply that to people as well as companies, and so that is where my passion lies. We are going to speak, each of us, we're going to take turns and just tell a little bit about our personal stories, and then we'd really like to spend the last good portion of the session hearing from you and engaging in the dialogue. Questions, ideas, even stories that you'd like to share with us. But in the first part of the engagement, I think we're each I've asked everyone if we can share a little bit about, if we could characterize our personal journeys, how we got to this place where we're at now today, and what is that unique superpower, or as Kat calls, the fastball that we bring to our organizations or the industry at large, and how has that impacted the cultures we've been a part of? Huh? I'm going to ask Felicia if she would kick us off.
Awesome. I don't think I need a mic. You can hear me, right? Wow, lovely. That is my superpower. I can talk loudly. So I think I had originally started in education, believe it or not, special ed. So that was a very long journey. So it was special ed, and then ended up at Newsweek, and really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I ended up at a session. I forgot the name of the company, but this gentleman was running the company, and it's interesting because he had this idea in the 70s that women want to get back into the working world. So he would host these seminars, and different people would come in and talk about their journey and what it is that they did. So there was someone from advertising and PR, and this person came in and was talking about recruiting, and a light bulb went off, and I was like, that's what I want to do, because I have a very robust personality, and people always say, you should go into sales. And I don't want to sell a pen. I'm not passionate about a pen, but I am passionate about people. So started recruiting down on Wall Street when Y2K was about to kick off. Oh my God, the world was going to end, all the computers would blow up, and you're not going to have anything. And that road led me to MTV.com. Oh my God, SonicNet, radio on your computer, what? And from there I went to, was a freelance recruiter at Deutsche, was at TBWA for a little, and then was back at Deutsche. So the role at Deutsche evolved from recruiting into HR, creating programs internally, and then last role was, director of diversity, people and culture. So when you say culture, what does that mean? And I'm the type of person that, you can't dictate what culture is. You can't say, this is the type of company we are, and this is how we're going to walk, talk, and everything has to come from the people. So for me, it's really about people create the culture. They're going to come in, and they're going to tell you what they want and how that is going to come to be. Now, you can have principles, and you can say, we are going to work a certain way, we are going to be leaner, meaner, smarter, and faster, which was something that Donnie had created. But at the end of the day, it really is your population that is going to tell you how they want to work. So from that dynamic is how I really started, engaging and really, really listening. So I think if you asked me what my magic power is, it is the gift of gab, but it is also the gift of kind of seeing in people what they don't see for themselves, and they don't know how to speak up and how to ask for, you are ready to be promoted. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. You are ready. You're ready to take on more. You are ready to, lead that charge. You're ready to run with the program. So I think that is something that, is very, very special that I have to offer.
Great. So you push people out of the nest of comfort.
Yes.
And to that next level.
And with that, connect people. I'm constantly the type of person that's like, oh my goodness, do you know so-and-so, because the two of you, and that would be great, and and have a really, really, not a Rolodex, but can form and see the puzzle, as it comes together, so that people who didn't think that they would be good for a role are, it's sort of like, two steps ahead of everybody else, so that when it's time for them to realize what their next path is, I can say, you know what, you should talk to so-and-so at this company, because I think that would really make a lot of sense for you.
Great. And in your experience of doing that, connecting people who might help them open that path, how do you handle when people feel that resistance or hesitation, or feel, I'm not sure I'm ready for that? How do you encourage them and give them the confidence?
You know what, I'm a big believer, and I would tell my interns this, it is okay to fail. Every internship that would start, I would say, you can fail here. This is a safe place for you to fail, because you are going to be taken care of. This is the place to ask questions. This is the place to meet everybody. Don't come up to me on the last day and say, I didn't get to meet the chief creative officer. You should know better. Get to know everybody. If you're afraid to walk into somebody's office, I will make the introduction for you. And it's funny because my husband years ago had been an internal wholesaler for an organization. That means calling people and getting their information so that a wholesaler would then go visit the office and we owe you money. And they were ready to promote him and throw him out into the out of the nest and out into the out into the, the field and traveled to different places, and he had talked about this so much that when the time came, he's like, I can't do this. And I was like, yes, you can. Like, take yourself out of it for a second. What are the responsibilities, right? You listed all the responsibilities. You have done this before, and you're ready. And you know what? If you're not, it's okay to fail. You can always come back. So whether it was at TDWA or whether it was at Deutsch, when people are like, I'm leaving, it's like, okay, sure, that's a luck. But know that, you can always come back. And I think that's that safety that people are like, I always tell people, I never say goodbye. I always say, I'll see you later. I never say goodbye.
I love the breaking it down the responsibilities, because I think often when we look at the next chapter or the next level, we build it up in our minds. It feels so big. We see the people who we've seen hold those roles in the past, who have done it for many, many years oftentimes, but I love the breaking it down so you can see it in its parts and say, oh yeah, I can do that. It's great.
Sort of like a science project when a kid tells you the next day that it's due tomorrow. Let's break it down.
Great. Kate?
All right. I'm going to try to ditch the mic too. Can you guys hear me?
Actually, hold on one sec, Kate. I was told that they're recording, so we can.
They're recording. Hello. Then you didn't get much of you, did we? Or we probably did anyway.
So I'm going to say everything backwards now. I'm sure they got me.
Okay. Then I will keep the mic. I think that's actually a really good segue, because when you sort of asked personal journey, I was like, but my personal journey, I think maybe the best way to start is my belief is that diverse experience is so important. I'm a big believer that you should try things, and weird experiences and bad experiences and good experiences are what gives people perspective and what makes people humble and open and emotionally intelligent, and reminds us all that I think everyone has a lot to learn. It's something I'm reminded of every day, especially as I get older. And so I've been really lucky in my life. I've had a lot of different experiences, and I've sort of sought them out. And Bonnie mentioned some of them, but I was born and raised on the island of Oahu, which was its own experience, and went to college on the mainland, so in California, and then went to the University of Madrid for a year, and then went to work as a congressional intern right after the Monica Lewinsky scandal. And then went to law school, and then quit law school, and sort of fell backwards into advertising. Started as an administrative assistant in the promotions department, and worked at account-led agencies and creatively led agencies, and in Paris, where no one wanted to talk to me in English, which was its own experience. And I have 2 kids and a husband who's a creative in advertising, and so I think I sit here sort of hoping that I have a unique perspective on the world and on the business we're in, and what I think is so important about that is that's what I can bring to the culture that we're trying to create at BD&P. And I think, we really believe, and I know a lot of you guys do because it's coming up a lot today, is just the reason a country's culture is rich, or a city's culture is rich, or a company's culture is rich is because individuals make it up. It's not a homogenized group of people. And so I think our job is to create a stable and supportive environment for individuals. And everyone wakes up and has different things they worry about, different ways they want to be motivated and engaged with. And I think it's really, really important that you constantly remember that perspective is valuable, but perspectives are different. And as an agency and from a sort of a policy perspective, we need to come to the table from that approach. And one thing, is it time for our fastball, or is that later?
Yes.
Sure, okay. The fastball, which I think is just sort of something that we're doing as an agency that sort of speaks to that, is we are really broadening the definition of compensation. I think the standard definition is salary and bonus. And it's very much from the company's point of view. This is what we give the employee. And we're really trying to reframe it from the employee's point of view. So thinking about, what do they spend money on every month? And some of those are really fun positives, like classes or fitness or travel. Some of those are stability things like life insurance or 529. Some of those are things like debt. And so how can we as a company come to the table with each individual and really think about compensation and think about the things that they worry about and create as stable environment as we can, because ultimately we're all in a creative business and we can unleash creativity if we are as stable and supportive an environment as possible. So we just started it, but it's something we're really excited about.
Great. I think I asked you outside, but I know you're just at the beginning of that journey, and it's huge and exciting, and I think we could probably all stay in touch and learn from it. But what are some of the immediate initial challenges you found in thinking through that offering, and then also any surprise blessings?
Yeah, I mean, I think as you guys can probably imagine, that's complicated and expensive to look at employees that way. And it's easier if you have one policy, and if it's black and white, and you make as few exceptions as possible. And I give huge kudos to Paul Venables, who's our chairman, and who's really a guardian of our culture. And Mary Johnston is here, and she's our head of talent and HR, and she's amazing. And Gary Brown, who's our CFO, because it's those people who can make it really, really hard to pull something like this off, or make it really easy. And every individual situation has its own expense issues and its own complexities, and they've just sort of jumped in, and we're all kind of finding our way through it. But just a kind of an interesting example that just happened that maybe we're sharing is we have an older employee who is starting to do retirement planning and worry about healthcare costs. That moment where they're like, can you afford healthcare if you and your spouse needed it when you're 80? And so Mary actually researched long-term healthcare policies and companies, and we were able, with our negotiating rate and power as an agency, to negotiate a policy and a discounted rate, lock him into it. We pay his premium every year that he's there, and then when he leaves, he can take that policy with him. But 20 years from now, when he needs it, he's negotiated a bulk rate. And it's that kind of stuff that makes me super excited, because that's something that worried him. It's something that we could do pretty easily. I mean, it may be not as easy as it sounds, but that kind of stuff makes me really happy, because that's one thing that he doesn't have to worry about. And then he comes to work and can really unleash his full potential.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great story. In my personal experience, I think when you invest at the individual level, when you see employees as people, unique individuals, and you carve out really creative packages for them, the loyalty is just really deep and infinite, and it's real. They become super fans.
In the recent, I think it's Campaign Live actually is running a series on leadership, and I believe it was Joyce King Thomas that was just recently published, and she said you find, culture comes from, your employees and from the top as well, but she said you have to find what you love about each and every person. And that's so true, because when people feel that, then they feel well taken care of. I mean, it's like kindergarten, that manner in life, be nice, be polite, say thank you. And when you're doing that as an organization, then you talk about your employees who are like, I love this place. You know why? Because A, I'm challenged, B, they're taking care of me, and that goes a long way. So when, somebody calls to say, hey, I have an opportunity, I thought maybe you'd like to hear about it, and your employee says, no, but maybe I can recommend somebody, then you know that you are really creating, a beautiful culture.
Yeah. Great.
Amen. I'm going to start with culture first, really quickly, because you all have said some incredible, very inspirational things. And I think and we both talked about culture starting with the individual, and if I even peel that back maybe 10 more feet, I think of culture stemming from generosity. And generosity is something that we all are capable of giving, and we all embody. Whether or not we want to be generous is another question, but that's what I think about when I think about culture, just like my job. But I want to say that. So I have a really unorthodox way of that I got here completely, as Bonnie mentioned. I never ever thought I would be in HR. In fact, my wonderful team and I renamed HR to People and Experience Team, because I think that's really what we do at Vayner. My God, I always knew I wanted to be of service. I mean, as like cliche as that sounds, I knew at a very young age I wanted to be a psychotherapist. Maybe because my mom was one, I don't know, but so I always thought that that's what I would do, and I had some hiccups along the way. School was really difficult. I was one of those EQ, think too much with your heart people, but my parents were always like, you don't think enough of your head, and it's like this missing chip for me. I could remember song lyrics really well, but nothing else. You know, it was just like, that just came to me. And if I think about song lyrics, I think about poetry for a second. I think about The Road Less Traveled, and I think, you know, that's certainly how I got here, and I would imagine a lot of us in this room have taken The Road Less Traveled. So as I was starting to become a psychotherapist and working in a gourmet grocery store called Harvest Market in San Francisco in 1998, so I was on the 10-year plan to graduate college. As I say, The Road Less Traveled. This customer came in and he said, I think you'd be an incredible project manager. And I said, what is that? And he said, you manage this grocery store. It's the same thing. I have an internet.com company. I'm starting in Palo Alto. I mean, it's 1998. There was no Google, there was just Facebook, right? I mean, Craigslist. And no Facebook. And I literally remember in my head saying, you're going to take this sharp left turn, but you must always remember to help people. You must always remember the principles of why you want to be a psychotherapist. And I've been on this Outward Bound course while I was trying to find myself at 19. It was 93 days. I was the only woman, girl at that time. And that's kind of when I first got into team building and what that meant to foster healthy teams. And I started to kind of build my own equations of how that happens with empathy and trust. And certainly when you're climbing a 14,000-foot mountain with, you know, a big pack on your back, you don't really think about those things, but you certainly need the trust of your fellow backpackers. So anyway, I took that left turn and I never looked back. I got into the wild world of digital marketing. And it took me all over, and it took me to San Francisco, but then it took me to London 2 different times. From project management, I should say, I met this wonderful person at JWT who said to me, you're a strategist. And I said, what? Okay. She said, you're a storyteller. You feel people's feelings. You get it. You know, great for project management. And Kristen, Joey, way to go. But you're a strategist. So and that really, really resonated with me in terms of feeling people, feeling consumers, feeling teams, feeling the heartbeat of agencies, quite frankly. I was able to kind of see an agency operations as a soccer field in many ways, or a chessboard, but I could connect, as Felicia said, really, really easily. Oh, you should go talk to this person, or God, if we could tighten this process with this department and that department, or if that person could talk to that person, like we would have magic. So one thing led to another, and I met this incredibly wise and eccentric, inspirational person named Gary Vaynerchuk, who moved me from London to New York. And I started at VaynerMedia. It was his first adult hire. So I'm 47. I had just turned 45. At that point, I think the average age was maybe like 24. The average age is 28.7 now. And life took another left turn. And just to bring it to current day, while I was there, and while I was at Publicis London, while I was at JWT London, I always had these 2 jobs. And one was the job that kept my lights on and the agency's lights on. So whether or not I was writing global strategies for Shell or Tampax or Oral-B or whatever, I was taking care of people without saying, oh my God, I'm going to take care of someone. It just happened. And I really do think that was because of a generous heart, and I found people that were either sponges for that or were like-minded. So a big knock on my heart came again that said, hey, you don't really want to be selling stuff anymore. There are a lot of people that can do this, and a lot of people could probably do it better than me, but I just wanted to coach and mentor and really take care of and provide for, and going back to the psychotherapy roots, really help people unlock themselves and manifest whatever greatness they want it to be. You know, whether or not they want a promotion or don't want a promotion, they're still filled with fire inside. As I was leaving Vayner, Gary said to me, what do you care about? What do you want to do? Which he always asks. And I said, I only care about the heartbeat of this place. I care about the people. And off I went into the great wild unknown for 135 days. I counted. And he and I had breakfast, and he said, look, I want you to come back. I need you to come back as the chief heart officer. And here I am. So it's been an amazing journey. I think it's been around 8 months now. Remember when I said I never thought I would be in HR? I have a great team that is very HR-centric and understands how to take care of people and how to take care of their needs in terms of benefits and pay and policy and maternity leave and reviews and all of those things. And I get to take care of 700 people with them. So it's an absolute honor. I don't know if I answered any other questions, but thanks for listening.
It's a great journey. And I asked in that shift from kind of strategy leader to heart leader, what have you discovered? What is maybe one of your biggest lessons in that shift?
Wow, that's a great question. One of the biggest lessons for me is something I don't know if I did extremely well until coming back to Vayner, which was actively listening. I think as a person that was on the agency side in terms of the brand side and having to get my ideas in front of clients and having to woo clients and having to befriend our creative teams so I could get my ideas created. We all know what that's like. I probably wasn't an active listener. I was probably listening and then, come on, now do what I wanted to do. Things like that. But when you're taking care of someone's heart and soul, when you're taking care of someone's needs and whatever they may be, you have to I absolutely have to shelf myself, 1000%, and just be here now.
So one of my curiosities, because I know the job, right, has changed, and now your job is to listen to people. But how would you now, in hindsight, encourage the leaders of the core disciplines or the agency itself to take that on, in those roles?
I've thought about that a lot. I think it stems from mindfulness. I really do, and I don't think that's something we talk about a lot. I think it's assumed that HR professionals or people in experience professionals or recruiters or people that are taking care of other people know what mindfulness is. I mean, I think we know how to take care of people, but the idea of...
Do people outside of HR, I guess, is what I'm asking.
So that's what I mean. I think bringing mindfulness and this idea of empathy, I've heard it a couple times today, connection. I mean, how do we bring that into our leadership in a very conscious way? Not just because every single person in this room is most likely very empathetic. I would imagine, I can feel that, but because we need that from leadership. We absolutely need them to tune into what our people are saying and what they are, in some ways, crying for, or asking for. And, something we talk about right now, the agency's 7 years old. I don't know, maybe we have 15 to 16 new mothers across 700 people, something like that. Maggie's keeping me honest. We don't have paternity leave. We have 3 weeks of maternity leave. We are so young in our life stage that we don't know what we don't know, but we're looking to you, certainly to the three of you, to help inspire and inform us so we can take those new policies to leadership, to my CEO, and say, look, our people need this, they deserve this. So that's the type of consciousness I think I'm asking for.
Great, thank you. So I guess if I was to characterize my journey, I've been a strategist in advertising for over 25 years. at a lot of creative shops, starting in New York, then to TVWA Chiat in LA, and then up in San Francisco before I really found my home at Goodby Silverstein Partners. And I've been there, and I'm going to say on and off, because that's the truth, on and off for 18 years. And on and off because I guess I would describe my career as a series of sprints and pauses around giving birth to 4 children, taking time off in between, freelancing in between that, coming back to Goodby, and in and out. It's been my revolving door home. And as I talk about it in the agency, I talk about over the course of 18 years, it's been a lot of U-turns filled with questioning and constant recommitment to this place that I love. And I describe it much like a marriage, you know. We talk about, we fantasize, the fantasy of marriage is that you say your vows in this beautiful event in front of everyone that you know, and that's it, boom, happily ever after. And those of us who are married know that that's as far from the reality of it as can be. Marriage, you know, is something you have to recommit to every day, if not several times a day. And I guess I would characterize my time at Goodby Silverstein Partners in the same way. It required, you know, as my life evolved, as my priorities shifted, there was a lot of need to retrench and say, hey, where am I today? Who am I? What's important? What matters? And do I still want to be here? And what do I want to affect here? So when I say I've been there for 18 years, that's the easy answer. You know, the real answer is I've been in and out of that place many times, and in my mind, even more. And I think my fastball is that I am very candid about my experience and journey to leadership with the entire agency. And not just about my professional path or journey, but also about how it affected and how it interplayed with my personal life. What is it like to be a breadwinner, a sole breadwinner of a family of 6? What is it like to really juggle, you know, being the best partner I can be to my husband and being a great parent, and also being there for my department, my teams, and now the agency at large. I give a very unvarnished view of what that journey is and how messy it really is. It's my story, but I believe with all my heart that we need to share that and share it all in order for young women and young men, I have found, to say, hey, yeah, I choose that and I can do that, and it won't look pretty and I don't expect it to, and I can come clean about that too. Because I think what Kate was saying, and I think everyone here, is culture is the energy that happens with the individuals that are there at that time, at that given moment. And so at Goodby, what I love, why I've always recommitted to this home at this really amazing agency, is that it really is a culture that invites people to bring their whole self to the table. There's 2 things we talk about. This is the place where you can do your best work. Not just right now, but the best work of your career, while bringing your whole self to the table. And we are not who we are unless you bring that whole self. And so, as a leader, I feel that that is my job, to model what it means to bring your whole self to work every day. It's to be unapologetic about being a mom. To not be shy, to admit, hey, I'm kind of going through some rough times. You know, I'm trying to figure this out. And then also to not be apologetic about setting boundaries. You know, taking a 4-day week when I needed to. And at one point, moving to Portland with my family So it started with another cultural program. We had a program called Fuel, which invited everyone in the agency to submit an idea that the agency would invest in. It did not have to be tied to client business. It did not have to be tied to anything at all. It was really about embracing our employees' passions. And the second year of this program, 2 young women came forward with the idea of a program called Boost. It was a young account manager with a young strategist. And they said, you know what? We give so much energy, time, heart to our clients, but how are we taking care of ourselves? Can we create a program where we have the agency invest in us, in the employees, through our physical well-being, through our mental well-being, through our emotional well-being, and our spiritual? Can we do that? And that was the winning idea for the year. And I think this was 2013. Don't quote me on the dates. And part of that program was inviting the leaders of the agency to teach a master's class or run a program that was true to who they were. You know, again, bring your authentic self, bring your whole self to the table. Our managing partner, now president, Derek Robson, started a running club every Thursday. It's been going on for 3 years. Leslie Barrett, one of our very senior group account directors, who is now a partner, brought meditation and yoga, something that she was really passionate about, to the agency. And what I did is I started teaching a workshop called Writing Your Life Brief. And it was something that I had done as a strategist in a moment of crisis, personal crisis with my husband, raising our child. I wrote a brief for our life. And the content of that brief is what got us to Portland, Oregon. And I decided to share that with the agency. And it just started off as one talk. I call it my coming out moment, because it was a very scary moment. I was pacing back and forth because prior to the workshop, I didn't know how much to reveal. How personal can you get as a leader? When is it okay? You know, is it okay to talk about that my marriage perhaps was flirting with divorce? Is it okay to talk about, you know, how hard it is, what a struggle it is to mother babies, you know, many young children, and still feel good about what you're doing at work? Is it okay to talk about these things, and to what extent? And what was so powerful about that workshop is that when I shared that first workshop, and I think Leslie might have been in there, Leslie B., who's amazing, part of Goodby Silverstein, is it really opened everyone up. And in that 2-hour period, there were so many amazing shares in the room. There was a guy who's a great up-and-coming account director. We talked about, you know, the purpose of the life brief is you can't have it all, but you can have all that matters. So really be clear about what matters to you. And he voiced in the room, he said, oh, what if I've never even admitted to myself what I really want? Where do you start when you start at that place, you know? And when he opened that up, all these incredible people just shared, and it created this connectivity, I think, in the agency, in the room, that I had never seen before. And it was a deeper level of connectivity. And we like to say it at Goodby, you know, we've seen through our employee survey over the course of 10 years that we don't have a process-driven culture. We definitely don't have a process-driven culture, but connectivity is our culture. We found that our work is the most award-winning. Our financial success is highest when the survey shows that people feel connected to each other, to the work and output, and to the agency itself. And in those years, those also happen to be our most financially rewarding as well as award-winning years.